When I first started doing DIY crafts, I always wanted to know what were the specific tools that I needed in every single project with every single thing that I did. And I never really looked it up back then, so I won't say there wasn't any videos, but I've been doing crafts like practically my whole life. If you count as me as a child, I've been creative since then. And I keep going to specific tools for each DIY project that I do here on my channel. And so I wanted to go over all the supplies that I tend to keep in one little spot and compartment. So that way, if you're a crafter like me, you're able to then have one, organization, because I will lose everything and anything if I don't keep it in the same space. And then two, you have your go-to tools everywhere you go in a nice, organized way so you can just pull it out of your closet and just kind of work on those DIY projects. I'm excited to share with all the tools that I have gained over the years, especially when I started to do DIY projects consistently throughout my home, and giving you what you can add to your toolbox if these are the type of projects that you will be doing. So let's get started. The first thing I want to share is just a little bit of background knowledge, so if you stay with me, I promise I'll get to the toolkit. But I used to have a different YouTube channel back in the day, and back in like 2017, it's when I first launched my other YouTube video on a different channel. And one of the videos that I created was like an Amazon's favorite, and it was like all the tools. It didn't do really well on my channel, but I thought it was so resourceful. And honestly, even if nobody asked me, it was probably one of the most efficient things that I did for myself when it came down to crafting. Eventually, I turned my crafts into more of a balloon business and became an event designer and started my own event business with that. This was still the same toolbox that I utilized every single event. There were times where I was at these events and somebody's like, oh my gosh, I need scissors, or I need a screwdriver, or I need this, I need that. I was like, oh, I have it. Because this toolbox was so sufficient and efficient when it came down to doing any type of projects all year round. Now, even when I'm doing just projects here in my house, or if I'm designing for family or friends and they want me to work on things, I'm always bringing this toolbox with me because, like I said, it really has all the things that I need for all of my craft and DIY projects. So that's just a little history about me, and I wanted to share that because I have put in and taken out things that are not necessary. In fact, when we go through the toolbox together, there are probably still some things I would take out versus utilize, but let's get started. This is enough talking. Let me share what my toolbox is, and I will have all of the similar or exact tools and supplies that I mentioned here in this video down below, so be sure to check it out if you want it. But first, we drink some water. I got this cute icon glass from Anthropology, so let me just take a sip. I have bought the dupes from Kirkland in my fall haul or my fall favorites video, and I literally cannot tell the difference between a Kirkland dupe or an Anthropology dupe. And also this cup, just because, you know, we're here for the cups, this cup is around the same price. So I thought that was interesting, and it's football season as of I'm recording this, so duh, I had to get a football. All right, so this is the toolbox now. My apologies because it is so heavy. I might have to put it on like a stand or something. But this is my hefty, I don't even know what to call it. What do I call it? The hefty toolbox. So it says by Creative Options. I got mine from Joann's. Now, one thing that's so sad about me talking about Joann's is it does not exist. But I have seen these also on Amazon. Back when I was first doing my DIY projects, I was just like, I have all these tools that I want to organize, and like, what are my go-tos and how can I keep them organized and just pick up this kit whenever I need it. And so literally within every video, all the supplies you see outside of like a cutting mat or other things is usually in this kit. And this is just like where my go-to is. And in fact, like sometimes my husband is working on his business and he's like, hey, do you have a hot glue? I'm like, actually, I do. So this kit is still something I recommend. It's lasted since 2017. Is it 7 years ago? Let's see. 8 years ago. That's insane. It's a little run down. It has a little markings on it. I've seen other people in the event space and crafting space create their own, and I just always went back to this. I saw others, some were too bulky, some got too heavy, and I'm just like, I don't want to lug around something so extremely heavy because I had other supplies too, but this is my go-to. So let's go talk about the first. I'm going to put this on my little table so I can not lose my arm in the midst of it. The top part, let me see, can we get it in the frame? Yes. So we have the top part right here, and then you have like three little, why can't I think of the name? Like three little drawers or whatever. So one is smaller, and then two are basically the same size. And then I'll talk about what I've done to make mine efficient. So now the top part, again, there are certain things that I would probably take out because let's keep it real, not everything I use in here. Again, some things were for sure used for when I was doing balloons. But so I still do balloons for family and friends. I no longer have that balloon business. It wore me out. It burnt me out. And it wasn't just something I could thrive in because I put my heart into doing balloons. And when people were just like, I'm not going to pay your price. And I was just like, okay, well, I just made it about me because it's my art, but we're not here for that. You see if I can put it right here. The first thing, of course, a pair of scissors. Like, we can't live without them. I got this from Hobby Lobby. I thought it was just aesthetically cute. They're not the best or the sharpest. If you're into like fabric as your craft, because I'm not, you want to be specific with the scissors, but I always keep them up front because it doesn't really fit in the little drawer. So they always stay on top. I have painter's tape because I still do crafts for my family and can't be marking up their walls, right? So another thing I wanted to mention that has really been a game changer with all of my crafts is a hot glue gun. Well, a hot high temperature glue gun. A hot high temperature glue gun is something that needs to have with certain crafts. So there was a video I did once upon a time ago on my old channel, and I'll play it for you here. It was a picture frame centerpiece. And one thing I've noticed is that when you use a low temperature glue gun, which is something I do have here, this, and you'll notice it says low temperature on the brim of it, it wouldn't stick. Like, there were certain things that would come apart with this low temp. And I didn't know there was a difference between low and high temp when I first started, mind you, 2017. But I keep both. When I was a balloon artist, you can do, like, if you ran out of glue dots, you can use your low temperature hot glue gun on balloons and it will not pop them. Just some fun facts. In case you're throwing parties for your kids and you don't have the glue dots and you want to put them in there, low temperature glue gun. Another thing I wanted to mention, I won't go through everything because, like I said, some of these things don't belong here. But this is something I got at the Dollar Tree. So when you sit your... Let's see if I can imagine this is the table and you can sit there. Yes, some of them come with like a drip catcher or whatever, but this just solves my problem. I don't have a fancy one, so I needed something to just catch it so it doesn't ruin my furniture when I'm crafting. $1 at the time before it went up, but I believe they still sell these in the craft section at Dollar Tree, so definitely find those. Otherwise, I'll link something similar down below. Where is so some other things that I do have, cable ties. I rarely use these anymore, but this was something I used to utilize when I needed it to hang stuff. It's good to have. I haven't used them in a while, and I had these and black ones. You could get these from Home Depot. Really, really cheap. The one thing I will share is this ruler. Now, it might not be a big deal to you, but I will show you another ruler that I have. A clear ruler really makes a difference when it comes to like measuring things that you have to see behind, so that way you're knowing the exact measurements. So a clear ruler. All of this fits in the top portion of this toolkit, by the way. Another thing I have was alcohol wipes. Ask me why I have these. I don't know. I know I used to need them and I don't anymore. Gorilla tape. Packing tape. And like I said, there's other things in here that I have to go through. Like, I have a lighter. Does it even work? I think this is gonna. So I have to go through this too. Double-sided tape. That is something I always keep inside. I have multiple rolls that I keep in a craft closet. But this is something I use for like cards making, DIY stuff, things when it comes to like to journal, junk journaling. That's a big thing for me. And that's pretty much it. I have smaller zip ties and some glue dots. Again, this portion of the video is when I would need to rethink and reorganize. All right, so that is the top portion. Again, still needs to be cleaned out. Maybe I should put this table here. So now we're going to go into the little inserts. And something that I found that was really efficient when it came down to working with, what are these tackle boxes? Jesus, I couldn't even remember. But the first one, it's a lot smaller. So if we notice right here, and then you'll see like compared to this one, see how it's a lot smaller. But the one thing I did was I bought a label maker, or if you have a label maker, and I labeled all the things. So in case I ran out of the things that I needed here, I knew where they belonged, and then you can always just rip it off and put a new label on. I thought this is really efficient with keeping things organized. So since the small one is so small, I kept a lot of markers and pens in here. Now, again, some of these things can definitely be revamped. Like, I really don't need a Post-it anymore. This used to be really efficient when I had a business, but I do like to keep some office supplies like a paper clip. Again, it's something, they're small in here. But the things that I definitely still use to this day are my pens and pencils, for sure, especially the pencils. And then I have like these chalkboard paints and Sharpies, because you just never know when you'll need something. And so I probably need to go through it because some of these markers are probably dried. But I kept my Sharpies, my chalk markers, and then also my paint markers. And I got these from Michael's because these are sold in the, like, not paint section, but like in that aisle, in those aisles. And these were good. I used to have a chalkboard or an acrylic calendar, and these are things. Or I actually did a teacher gift bag here on my channel, and I didn't really use one of these. These are probably really dried up, but I used one of the paint markers and Sharpies for that. So again, utilizing this, I put all my writing utensils. So if it had to do with pretty much writing, it was in this particular part of the toolkit. Again, I labeled it just so I know. I can always take off the labels and take them off. If you think that's tacky, like, do what you want. There's no harm or shame, but these are the things I definitely keep. I don't utilize this so much, but it just does depend on the project. But for writing wise, yes. So like this area right here, I don't need Post-its anymore. So I'm wondering like what, and sometimes it can be an empty space. One thing I've learned, I don't know if you've ever watched Home Edit. I used to watch them all the time on Netflix. And one of the lessons that they taught their audience was that it's okay to have space, available space. So something like this, when it comes down to, let's say, for instance, I don't need the Post-its anymore, and this is just empty space, it's okay to just leave that. It doesn't have to have something right now, because maybe in the future when you need something, it will make sense then. So that's a little organizational tip. I have to be super organized in my life because when I was younger, I used to lose everything and not know where anything was. So my mom was just like, you got to be able to, figure it out. And I did. Being organized makes me put something the exact same place where I found it. So that way I never lose it, because I get very stressed when I lose my things. It's okay to have an empty space. Even in a craft closet, the one thing that I've noticed is that, or other people, they'll want to fill up the space. And it's just like, you don't have to. It's okay to have it open and available, because when something makes sense that comes along your journey, or when you are having a new craft idea, now you have space to allow it. So don't be afraid of just empty boxes, which in short, one of the drawers has an empty box. So let's go through that one. This is the last one that's down below in the bottom. Again, this one is a little thicker, and I also did label this as well. But like I said before, this one, if you notice right here, there's a long area that used to house a lot of like the glue sticks. But what I noticed is that I don't use glue as much as I used to when I did my balloon business. But this is an empty spot is okay to have. I just haven't or needed anything to use it for. So right now it just stays what it is. But again, it used to have a label. I took it off. And again, it's just as simple as creating a new one and placing it right there. So let's open this one and let's see what we got here. I have a bunch of rubber bands, and I have large ones and I have small ones. So they're all in one area and they don't have a label. So I might have to put the label on there. I keep these just because, we have a junk drawer, obviously, but it houses more of like the tags that you get or anything like that. But I've always noticed that there are random times when I will need a rubber band, whether it's a big one or a small one. And in fact, my husband needed one yesterday. I was like, do you have a rubber band? I was like, actually, I do. So it's not something I don't go to often, but I will keep in my toolkit because like I said, I still do balloons, and balloons we used to use the big ones and put them on there and attach the smaller balloons to the balloon garland. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry about it. And so another thing that I keep in here is glue dots. This is not something I utilize anymore. I don't even know if it's good. You have to rub it like whiteout tape. I just keep it here just in case. Again, I might have to relook at this. However, this was the place where I housed all of my clear tape. So I would get those tapes from Dollar Tree and keep them in there. And I actually have to go through this. My old business cards, because obviously I used to be an entrepreneur, and then my husband's business cards as well. And I used to keep those. I don't need those anymore. Those are just more memorabilia. And I have these like cute little ties. I didn't know where to put them, and I didn't want to get rid of them because they're so cute, but I need to utilize them some way, somehow. But sometimes you're holding on to things and you're just like, why? Why are we holding on to things? The next compartment, and mind you, with this toolkit, you can customize it, and these little inserts come out. So if you see right here, and then you can place them as wide or as long as you want. And of course, as soon as I take it out, it messes up. Okay, there we go. I have to clean this out. This is a good reminder to like do a little spring cleaning in the winter. And again, to kind of reiterate, I have an empty spot right here. I have the inserts on the top shelf in case I need something maybe even a little smaller. I do, however, have these big old needles, and one of them, I probably should just put them all together, but basically this I definitely utilize. This is for popping my balloons, especially if I'm the person who has to pop them. Most people are scared to pop balloons. I am not. I remember I used to go on business, and all of my clients, well, that's dramatic, not all of them, but a lot of them used to ask me, they'd be like, don't you feel bad for popping them? I'm like, no. Like, you just did it a few hours ago. And I'm like, that's part of the job. And the last thing that I have that I will always have in my toolkit are glue sticks. I've gotten Gorilla glue sticks. I've gotten Walmart glue sticks. I've had the skinny ones versus, oh my gosh, imagine I can't get this apart. Okay, there we go. And so, like, if you see there's a difference here, one is for the low temperature, which is a smaller glue stick, and again, it's for very small projects. The here we go again. The high temperature, maybe it's a high temperature hot glue gun. Maybe that's why I'm having a hard time. It's a lot thicker. Every single time I just was scared of not having enough, I would always just keep them. But like I've noticed that I don't really go through them as often as I used to because there's other glues. I used to also, I have other glues as well. So now we're into the middle drawer. The middle drawer right here, this is like where all of my tools are. All these compartments have been reorganized. I didn't have everything in here that I needed. But like I said, every single time I went somewhere, especially when I did my crafts outside of my house, people were always looking for something. And this is my most used box outside of the top portion of it. This is my go-to for floral arrangements, wreaths, ribbon cutting, all that good stuff. In fact, I should probably include one of my other tools in here, and I'll go get it because it's something I should keep in here as well. So again, I have it all labeled with tools and small, and I used to have like thumbtacks or whatever. So I might have to redo this again, but something that is a staple. And I probably have the worst kind because this is all broken. I'm embarrassing, but like this, I think it's called like a wire cutter. This is what cuts all of my flowers, especially those huge hydrangeas that have large stems. It's impossible to cut those with a scissor. I've tried all different types of scissors. This is something you need. Maybe you have something different. But this wire cutter floral, I use it for mostly my florals. Even when I've gone my little strategy of how to cut it, it's my holy grail. This is my most used tool. If you don't do anything else, if you love floral arrangements, get yourself a wire cutter because literally it takes the challenge out of cutting your floral designs because, Lord, I have struggled. And this is, again, maybe this is why I don't want it, because like it's all broken right here. You see all that? Like, very well loved and used. The next thing is a screwdriver. But again, I got mine from Dollar Tree because it comes with all the bits and the bits sit right here. I thought this was so efficient because if I need something like a flathead, it just goes on. It's not the most, listen, I don't fix stuff in my house, right? I have a toolkit for my house, but this is also for like little things that have happened. I have used this on multiple occasions. And people are like, oh my God, I need a screwdriver. And I was like, I have it in my toolbox. So that's something that's a staple. And then something I have never used, but I refuse to get rid of are these, like, I think these are called Allen keys. And there's different ones. Again, I got mine from Dollar Tree. This is when I don't know if they still have yellow tools. I remember back in the day, it was all yellow and black. So they have multiple ones sitting in here. You just never know. Like, you never know when you might need an Allen key. And now we have it. And now it can be stored away in our toolkit. Is it something that I need now? Probably no. But I still love it. Another thing I keep that apparently I need to think is a knife. I mean, for all the good cuts and all the things we do need. And then, oh my gosh, I used to be a teacher. I never used this in my life. But I was just like, one day I will. And I refuse to throw it away. I don't know what these are called. What is this called again? Do you know? Let me know in the comments. But it's, it's to make that perfect circle. That's in the tool section of the thing. And everything fits really, really good. Another thing that I got this small little tape measure. Maybe you need to, I don't know. Like if you're a girly or a guy, right? Whatever floats your boat. And you're like, I need to measure a table to see how big the centerpieces I'm going to create. Now you have it. Most tables are the same size, but you never know. So we keep that in the toolkit. Something that I used to use that I don't use anymore, and again, we have to reevaluate, is floral wire. This, again, I'm a big flower person when it comes down to my events. When did I used to use these? I haven't used this in so long. It's just like, why is it still in my toolkit? And I don't know. But they sell them in Hobby Lobby in the floral section or even in Michael's. But you just never, maybe you need to wrap something. I don't know. I just keep it. I hold on to it. And maybe I'm hoarding. Something that I'd still use to this day is safety pins. And I got these little boxes I think they came like this actually, and these are small and medium. These are a staple because when I'm hanging out a banner or when I need to hang something up on the balloon garland, I tend to go to these when it comes like to making backdrops for either my house or my setting something up for my nephew's birthday. These are just like my go-to. I don't know what it is about safety pins, but I keep them in the small and the large. So that is something I will never get rid of because it's something I tend to go to. Another thing that I use that I have in my balloon kit as well, because I have a different kit for balloons, is thumbtacks. And I always keep clear and white because more than likely a house has clear white walls, or this is usually where you can hide it the best. Clear is something it will, even if it's a blue wall, it will take on the color because it's clear. So I keep those in there as well. Again, I used to have them sprawled out and all over the place. And one thing about this toolbox is that these little inserts right here, they don't stop like little things like the paper clips. They'll slide right through. So put them in a little container. Those little containers, I know for sure you can get them at Dollar Tree. They sell them, I think, 6 in a pack for like $1.25. Who knows these days if it stays $1.25 because everything keeps just going up. But this is something that you can definitely put it together. And the last things that are in here are Mod Podge that I've never opened, and I'm sure it's pretty old. But the thing you get at Dollar Tree, I actually used Mod Podge. What project was it? Oh, it was for the decoupage, the DIY decoupage pumpkin video. Again, all these videos that I'm mentioning, I'll list down below, but that is where I use Mod Podge, and I only use a little. I don't use Mod Podge all the time. And so what I used to do is I used to get those big jugs, and at the time that's what they sold until Dollar Tree started making this. And now I just buy when I need it. I think this is old. I don't think this is efficient, but I used to have E6000 in here as well, but I think I used it all up. And then the last thing are just some Elmer's glue, stick glues. They're called craft bonds. Again, I don't think these are old. Yes, they are old. I want to find the purple Elmer's Glow because that is something I would use for my junk journaling. So I'm putting stuff back in here, but that's it. So that is all that I have to make sure things fits in here. So this is my cute little, let me show you, my cute little tool. Now, before we close out this video, I want to share some tools that I have added to my list of things that I need, but it does not fit in here, or taken on some things that need to be added. So the first thing I would definitely add, I don't go to it often, but I am planning to utilize it more, is a hole puncher. And the reason why I say this is because I have some fun holiday stuff that I plan on doing, like making customized gift tags. And this is going to be a staple for those, especially when it comes to hole punching. Something that I probably got at Michael's or Walmart. A little noise. Another thing I will be adding is this Cricut cutter. I don't even know. It's like a 60mm cutter and it's a little dirty, but this is my staple when it comes down to cutting geomesh and ribbon for my wreaths. And this is something that definitely should be added into my toolbox because this is something I'm constantly going to when it comes down to cutting. There is a safety guard here so you won't hurt yourself. And then all you have to do is push down this little button and then now you can cut it. I got it at Michael's, and then in order to release it, you just press this button right here and then it clicks back in place. So again, this is something that I go to all the time. It really should be something that's in my toolbox and it just has been hanging out in my craft closet. So now it's been adopted. So we're going to add that to my tool as well. Another thing that I definitely want to put in, if it does fit, I don't know just yet, but it is this small, cute little cutting board that I got at Dollar Tree. It is something that is really cute. Again, if I'm using the cutting board and I need something real small or on the go, this is something that could probably fit on the top if I laid it flat underneath all the things that eventually I take out. This is something that I can utilize because the next thing I want to show you is my cutting mat, and I can't break that. So this acts like a mini cutting mat just in case I need something so I don't destroy any of the furniture that I am taking on if it came down to a DIY project that I'm doing on. The next thing I want to share is, let's put this down. That will be, is something not going to go in my toolkit at all. They just do not fit, but it's something I wanted to recommend because these are, again, more things that I tend to go to. So this is a clear ruler. I believe I got it at Michael's. You can find them at Joann's, Hobby Lobby. I don't know about Hobby Lobby, but one thing I love it, I have a pegboard in my craft closet. And so it has, let's see if we could, you can see near the two right there. It has a little hole where it could just connect a little hanger and a hanger right there on my pegboard. So again, if you're a crafter, you understand why you need a clear ruler. It's way easier to measure and see, especially if there's something that gets in your way, like with a regular ruler. I can't really think of the examples at the moment right now. I just know that when I was measuring something, I couldn't see. And so I was just like, oh, well, get a clear ruler because then it makes sense. So this is something that will not fit in my toolbox, which is why I have the smaller version of that. Again, for on the go or if I need something really quickly. The next thing that I might have to back up is this dual cutting mat. And this cutting mat can be used on any side. This is, I believe, like 18 inches by 24 inches, it seems like. Like that seems to be the notches that going. So 24 inches wide, 18 inches in length. And it's really good because if you've seen my videos, you know I cannot live without a cutting mat. So this is something that I have utilized. It does come with a hole at the top so you can hang it if you decide to, which I might because I'm always grabbing this. It's always stuck in the corner somewhere and I use it often. And so therefore not having it available or having access to it easily can get a little frustrating, especially in a closet. So this is something I do recommend as well. It's not something that could fit in my toolbox, but this is just an added bonus because these are like the things I can't live without when it comes down to creating my projects. So we have made it to the end. Cheers to you for sticking around. Hopefully it didn't bore you too much and you got to know me I love doing these sit-down videos because it's really a chance for me to get to know you, to get to know myself, and just bring a little more of my personality versus like the tutorials that I create, which I still love. But I still love like being just a little behind the scenes of things that I do, because I wish some of my favorite crafters were showing more a little bit of them, because I'm so connected to their content. So that's what I want to bring here to my channel. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for sticking around. Again, everything that I mentioned in this video will be listed down below in the description, and I'll add it to things that you don't need, or things that like, I'm a junk journaling guru and I need all the things to be junk journaling, everything in the toolbox. I just do it for all crafts because not that I do it all, because I don't sew, I don't do Cricut, I do a lot of things, but the things that I have in here. All right, on that note, I love you so much. Feel free to check out my past videos for all the supplies that you will see in the video, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye!